Episode 1. I'm Tom, and this is Chrome and Gasoline, where we talk about cars the way people talk about exes, lovingly, a little irrationally, and always with at least one story that ends with, and that's why I don't trust optimism. Today, we're hanging out with the 1955-1957 Ford Thunderbird, which is basically Ford saying, yes, we can do sporty, and also, no, we are not giving you a back seat, so choose your friends wisely. Let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. The early Thunderbird isn't trying to be a race car. It's not kicking down your door yelling, "Track Day!" It's strolling into the room in a crisp jacket, smiling like it knows your secrets, and casually implying it has better plans than whatever you're doing. This is a personal luxury two-seater, emphasis on personal, as in personal space, personal choices, personal consequences. And I mean it. 2 seats. That's not a layout. That's a lifestyle. That's a firm boundary. That's the automotive equivalent of putting no drama in your dating profile. Because the Thunderbird is basically a rolling filter. If someone's upset they can't come along, congratulations. You just found out something important about them. So why did this car hit so hard in the mid-1950s? Because the whole era was a victory lap. Post-war America was feeling optimistic, the highways were opening up, and Chrome was basically a religion. People wanted style and confidence and something that made them feel like life was finally fun again. The Thunderbird shows up and says yes, and also, I'm going to look incredible next to a diner. That's the mission. The early Thunderbird is front-engine, rear-wheel drive, and it comes in with V8 power as a core theme, because this is the 1950s, and subtlety was not the vibe. The point wasn't hyper-efficient, it was effortless. You wanted that smooth pull from a stoplight, that relaxed surge when you roll into the throttle, and the feeling that the car is doing the heavy lifting while you focus on the important stuff, like posing at a stop sign. And let's talk about the convertible but also not convertible situation, because this is where the Thunderbird makes you feel like you're in a spy movie and also in a mild storage problem. You've typically got a soft top for true open-air freedom and a removable hardtop for the I want to look like I live in Palm Springs even if it's actually a Midwest parking lot vibe. Either way, you're driving around in something that feels special, just sitting still. If you've never seen one in person, it's got that low, tidy 2-seat proportion that makes it look athletic without being aggressive. It's confident, but not angry. It's more, let's go cruising than I drink octane for breakfast. It's a car with manners, just enough manners to get away with being gorgeous. Now, speaking of the fact it's gorgeous, there's always this moment where someone says, "Isn't that Ford's Corvette?" And I get it. 2 seats, flashy, mid-50s, a statement. But the early Thunderbird really carved its own lane. Not a bare-knuckle brawler, more like a stylish heavyweight with a silk tie. The kind of car that doesn't need to prove anything because it already knows it looks good from every angle. And throughout this whole series, we're going to revisit my favorite recurring crisis. 2-seat problems. Like, where do you put your stuff? Answer: wherever it fits, which is also how you decide what belongs in your life. Coat? Yes. Extra passenger? No. Your friend's emotional support cooler? Absolutely not. Get your own Thunderbird, Steve. So that's the setup. The 1955-1957 Thunderbird is Ford's mid-50s statement, a personal luxury 2-seater with V8 confidence and enough charm to make you forgive the fact that practicality is not invited to this party. It's a car that makes you feel like you're doing better than you are, even if you just left the grocery store with one bag and a lot of self-respect. Stick with me, because next we'll get into why these things photograph like movie stars, why the design still hits people right in the nostalgia, and how a simple V8 and cruise mission became a whole attitude. I'm Tom, this is Chrome and Gasoline, and yes, 2 seats is plenty. For me. Episode 2, I'm Tom, and you're listening to Chrome and Gasoline. Still deep in the spell of the 1955-1957 Ford Thunderbird, aka the car that makes you want to wear sunglasses, even at night, just to match the attitude. This episode, we're talking looks, vibe, and why this thing has the photographic charisma of a movie star who never pays for parking. The design is the reason most people fall in love before they've heard it run. The proportions are the whole trick. Short cabin, longish hood presence, and that tidy two-seat silhouette that says, I'm going somewhere, even if you're just going to a drive-through. It's not massive. It's not trying to be a battleship. Yet it has that 1950s confidence where every line feels deliberate, every curve feels polished, and every piece of chrome looks like it's flexing. And then there's the removable hardtop mystique. Some folks remember these with those distinctive side windows in the hardtop, like a little design wink. However you describe it, the vibe is the same. The hardtop turns a sunny convertible into a stylish coupe-like look in about 5 seconds, and suddenly you feel like you should be pulling up to a fancy hotel to ask the valet if he knows how to treat a classic. Now, let's pair that look with what it feels like on the road. Because the Thunderbird is not a scream-it-to-redline experience. It's a lean back and let the torque do the talking experience. Mid-50 SV8S in general are about smooth, usable pull. They're designed to move a car with ease, not to win a modern spec sheet argument. You roll into the throttle, and it responds with that confident, grown-up shove, like the car is saying, relax, I've got it. And because we're in the land of carburation culture, yes, the era where fuel delivery was part science and part mood, you also get that old-school personality. The engine can feel lively, mechanical, honest. It's not trying to hide what it's doing. You can almost hear it thinking. Sometimes it's thinking, this is great. Sometimes it's thinking, did you seriously buy gas from that place? You get to be part of the conversation. Suspension-wise, the whole mission is boulevard comfort with enough control to feel composed in normal driving. You're not carving apexes like you're chasing a trophy. You're cruising. The Thunderbird is more of a long hood, smooth road, evening air kind of thing. It's built for that classic American joyride. Windows down, cool breeze, and your brain deciding you're the main character for no reason other than the car looks that good reflected in a storefront window. Let's bring back our recurring problem, two-seat problems. Because as soon as you own a two-seater, everyone becomes deeply interested in your schedule. Suddenly, you have friends. Suddenly, people want to just ride along. No, this is not a bus. This is a vow of minimalism on wheels. 2 seats means you can bring 1 passenger or 1 questionable decision. Choose wisely. And the trunk situation? Let's just say you learn to pack like you're going on a glamorous weekend trip, even if you're going to an afternoon car show. You become the kind of person who can fit 3 things into a space built for 2, and you'll feel proud about it. Look at me. I brought a jacket, a microfiber towel, and my dignity. We're good. So the Thunderbird's magic is the blend. It looks like it was designed by someone who understood drama, and it drives like it was built for enjoying the world rather than conquering it. It's effortless style with real mechanical presence underneath. Next up, we get real about living with one. The charming quirks, the maintenance themes, and how classic car ownership is sometimes 60% joy, 30% learning, and 10% standing in a driveway whispering, please, just start. I'm Tom, this is Chrome and Gasoline. And yes, the Thunderbird still makes you look cooler. That's the whole point. Episode 3, I'm Tom, and this is Chrome and Gasoline, where we celebrate the 1955-1957 Ford Thunderbird and also gently warn you that classic cars are like pets, adorable, lovable, and occasionally they will embarrass you in public for no reason. This episode is ownership reality, the part nobody puts on the brochure. Because the Thunderbird is gorgeous, yes, but it's also a mid-1950s machine, and that means it comes with personality. Not quirky fun friend personality, more like charming uncle who sometimes disappears at family gatherings. Let's start with the greatest classic car ritual, starting it after it's been sitting. Modern cars, you press a button, it starts, it apologizes for nothing. A mid-50s V8 with carburation, it has a small interview process. It wants to know if you're serious. It wants to know if you're emotionally stable. It wants to know if you touched anything since last time. Some days it fires right up and you feel like a hero. Other days it cranks like it's composing a memoir. And that's why a big part of classic ownership is respecting the basics: fuel, spark, air, and cooling. You learn casually, like you didn't just become an unpaid mechanic. Carb tuning is part of the era's charm, but it can also be part of the era's comedy. Sometimes the car runs perfectly and you do nothing. Sometimes you do everything and it runs the same. That's when you realize you're not just maintaining a car, you're negotiating with it. Ignition-wise, again, broadly speaking, these cars rely on older school approaches compared to modern computerized timing and fuel injection. The upside is they're understandable. The downside is they're understandable, meaning you are now responsible for understanding them. Congratulations, you've been promoted. Cooling systems matter. Old cars like attention. A good cooling system, good hoses, good belts. Those are the quiet heroes. Because nothing ruins your cool two-seat cruiser image faster than pulling over with steam escaping while you pretend you meant to stop and admire the scenery. 2 seats is a flex, but roadside repairs are a humbling experience for everyone involved. Now let's talk about driving feel. Steering effort in a 1950s car often feels different than modern, less filtered, more connected. Not hard, just honest. Brakes? Compared to today, you drive with more planning. You leave room, you think ahead. You don't tailgate. The Thunderbird isn't asking you to be scared, it's asking you to be present, which frankly is a good life lesson. And here comes our other recurring bit, the 1950s marketing translator. If a brochure says something like spirited performance, what it often means is V8 torque makes it feel confident in normal driving, and you'll smile when you roll into it. If it says luxurious appointments, it means you will absolutely touch the chrome and nod like you understand fine art. If it says road hugging, it means please don't drive it like a modern sports car, we're begging you. Then there's the little stuff, weather stripping, seals, old rubber parts, things you don't notice until you do. A Thunderbird can be perfectly happy, and then one small rubber piece decides it's had enough of 1957 and chooses retirement. That's classic ownership, 1,000 small victories, and sometimes small puddles. But here's the payoff. When it's running right, it's a vibe you can't fake. The engine note has that warm mechanical rhythm. The cabin feels like time travel. People look. You feel connected to the road in a way modern cars don't deliver, because modern cars are too busy being perfect. And yes, 2-seat problems return again. When you own a 2-seater, you become selective. You pick one passenger. Maybe it's your best friend. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's nobody, because peace is underrated. The Thunderbird teaches you boundaries, and it looks incredible doing it. Next episode, we'll talk about how the 57 years evolved in spirit, how refinements and tweaks shaped the experience, and we'll keep it careful, fun, and centered on what enthusiasts actually feel when they're around these cars. I'm Tom, this is Chrome and Gasoline, and if your classic starts on the first try today, just accept the blessing and don't ask questions. Episode 4, I'm Tom, and this is Chrome and Gasoline, still cruising with the 1955-1957 Ford Thunderbird. And yes, the 2-seat lifestyle is still working out great for me. Episode 4 is about how those 3 model years feel like a little mini era of refinement. Same core vibe, but with changes and tweaks that enthusiasts notice even if they can't resist arguing about them at car shows. Here's the careful truth. Most classic car lines evolve year to year with styling details, feature updates, and general improvements. Some subtle, some obvious. The early Thunderbird story across 55, 56, and 57 can be thought of like a band's first 3 albums. Same sound, but a growing confidence. The melodies are familiar, but the production gets cleaner, the hooks sharper, and suddenly everyone has opinions about which one is the real one. From a 10,000-foot view, the Thunderbird stays true to its mission. Personal luxury, 2-seat focus, stylish design, and V8 cruising. That's the backbone. Within that, you'll see differences in trim, interior cues, and features. things that can change the atmosphere without changing the soul. People notice the way certain details look, the way the cabin presents itself, and how finished the car feels as the series matures. And because it's the 1950s, the feature set is part comfort, part showmanship. Everything feels like it was designed not just to function, but to make you feel taken care of. You don't climb into a Thunderbird, you get welcomed into it. Moderate tech time. Drivetrain personality can vary depending on options and setup, including transmission type. In that era, you're generally dealing with manual or automatic choices, and whichever you have shapes the vibe. A manual can make the car feel more involved, more of that "I'm driving it" energy. An automatic leans into the Thunderbird's smooth cruise identity, more "I'm arriving" than "I'm working." Neither is wrong. They're just different flavors of cool. Also, gearing and power delivery can make a car feel relaxed or eager without changing the fundamental engine design. You might hear owners describe one setup as more effortless on the highway or snappier around town. That's the kind of real-world difference people actually feel. Not numbers, feel. Now, I promise comedy, so let's bring back two-seat problems. This is where you discover that a two-seat Thunderbird doesn't just limit passengers, it limits expectations. People stop asking you to help them move. Do you understand what a gift that is? That's not a disadvantage, that's a feature. The car is basically a rolling excuse to avoid carrying furniture. Sorry, I can't. The Thunderbird, it's a two-seater. And then you drive away looking like a movie star while they wrestle a couch. And our 1950s marketing translator returns too. When someone says, "This year has more refinement," translation, it feels like Ford kept polishing the idea until it gleamed. When someone says, "This year has the best look," translation, I saw one when I was 12 and my brain permanently imprinted on it. So what's the big takeaway across 1955, 1957? The Thunderbird stays consistent. It's about style and personal enjoyment, not practicality or track dominance. The yearly changes are like tailoring: a better fit, a sharper look, more confidence in the same suit. And that sets us up for the finale, because the Thunderbird isn't just a spec list. It's a memory machine. It's the kind of car people remember seeing, hearing, dreaming about. Next episode, I'll tell you a personal story, one that involves a Thunderbird and a moment where, for a few minutes, the world felt like it was made of warm sunlight and chrome reflections. I'm Tom, this is Chrome and Gasoline, and yes, I still think 2 seats is enough, especially when the seats are this cool. Episode 5. I'm Tom, and this is Chrome and Gasoline, and I promised you a personal Thunderbird story, so here it is. No heroic claims, no mythical barn find drama. Just one of those moments where a car shows up and your brain goes quiet for a second, like it's making room for a memory. It was a warm day, one of those late afternoon days where the sunlight turns everything into a soft gold filter and makes you feel like your life has better cinematography than it deserves. I was at a small local car gathering, the kind with folding chairs, coolers, and guys standing around with arms crossed like they're judging the moral character of each paint job. And then I saw it. A mid-50s Thunderbird, clean and proud, sitting there like it didn't know it was stealing the whole show. The paint looked deep enough to fall into, and the chrome, man, the chrome was doing what 1950s chrome does, reflecting the world back at you like a perfectly polished lie. You could see the sky, the trees, and half the crowd in those bumpers. It was like the car had its own highlight reel. The owner was leaning nearby, relaxed, like he was used to people orbiting his car. He wasn't showing off. He didn't have to. The Thunderbird did that for him. I walked over slowly, trying not to look like the guy who's about to ask too many questions. But the smell hit me first when I got close. Old interior. A mix of warm vinyl, faint fuel, and that unmistakable, "this is a machine from another era" scent. It's not perfume, but it's honest. He opened the door, and I heard that gentle, solid click, like the hardware was built to last longer than some marriages. I leaned in and looked at the dashboard, the bright work, the simple layout that somehow feels classy without trying. And I made a joke, because I always do. Something like, 2 seats, huh? This car really believed in boundaries. He stared at me for half a second, then laughed and said, best feature it's got. Immediate friendship. That's how you know you're with a Thunderbird person. Then he offered me the passenger seat. And here's where the story gets dangerous, because the moment you sit in a Thunderbird, you immediately start rewriting your budget in your head. I sat down, the seat warm from the sun, and the cabin wrapped around you like it's inviting you to be cooler than you are. The steering wheel looked like something you'd see in a vintage photo where everyone somehow has perfect hair. He turned the key, and the V8 came to life with that soft, low rumble, like it wasn't angry, it was confident. Not loud for attention, just present. You could feel it through the seat, a gentle vibration like the car was reminding you it's real, not a poster. We rolled out slowly, and the breeze came in, and the sunlight bounced off the hood like it was showing off. And for a moment, I got it. Not the specs, not the arguments, not the collectability chatter. I got the feeling. The Thunderbird isn't trying to prove it's the fastest thing on the road. It's trying to make the road feel like it belongs to you. And that's where my 1950s marketing translator kicked in. If the brochure said luxurious personal motoring, what it meant was, you will feel like life is going fine, even if your phone is full of overdue reminders. And if it said sporty, what it meant was, you will smile every time you see your reflection in a storefront window. We didn't go far, just a short loop, but when we got back, I stepped out and realized something. I'd been quieter. Not because I had nothing to say, but because the car had said it already, without words. It reminded me that joy can be simple. Warm air, an old V8, and a design that makes your brain light up. And the lesson I took from it is this. Classic cars don't just require maintenance, they require presence. They reward you when you slow down and pay attention. They don't fit modern life perfectly, and that's the point. They make you choose what matters. Also, 2-seat problems? That day it hit me. The Thunderbird doesn't have a back seat because it refuses to carry your nonsense. And honestly, I respect that. I'm Tom. This is Chrome and Gasoline. And if a 57 Thunderbird ever offers you a ride, take it. Your schedule can wait. Your memory can't.